Welcome back, everybody. This is QuestionMarc, and I'm back with my roommate to do another chunk of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle standard set commanders on our tier list. We've got about an hour today to record through more of it. I'm hoping to get this up pretty quickly for you guys so that we're hopefully done with this soon. But our first one of the day is Mikey and Dawn Party Planners. They're 2 and 2 blue green hybrid for a legendary creature Mutant Ninja Turtle. They're a 3/3 with Ward 2, and you may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may play lands and cast Mutant, Ninja, or Turtle spells from the top of your library. If you cast a creature spell this way, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. What do you think of them as a commander?
Uh, so I've never made a top deck manipulation deck. It always seemed too time consuming at the table for me. Some people enjoy that. This might be a commander that can do that. If you enjoy that, you probably already have a deck that does that. But yeah, maybe this is the first. Maybe you also just really like mutants or ninjas. There's not a lot of overlap between that and landfall to let you get more than like three or so uses of that a turn.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's Simic. You could still throw some in there. It would just be a little bit more generic deck, but doable. And the floor on any of those strategies isn't horrible.
Okay, I was just seeing you may play lands and cast those spells from the top of your library. Okay, it doesn't say like during your turn. So if you had other ways of playing lands, I was seeing about burgeoning here, but it does say you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. That is not playing a land. So it wouldn't work with burgeoning, but it would work with Azusa and the cards like it. So you may play
Each of
two
your
additional
turns.
lands on each of your turns. Well, still though, that means that if you have
Yeah.
lands on top of your library, you can play multiple of them.
Yep.
Because I was thinking originally, the obvious thing to do, of course, is to play mutant ninjas and turtles, just lots of them in your deck, and have a good time putting +1/+1 counters on them. And that's solid. It might be fun, especially if you're just really into this set, because that's where you're going to find the most overlap between those. There are quite a few mutants in Magic's past, ninjas, and turtles in the past, although I'd say turtle is the worst of those tribes.
Yeah.
Mutant in the middle, ninja, often pretty good. But putting all three of them together, there isn't a whole lot of cohesion between what they do. But this does put +1/+1 counters on them, so you could do your standard, like, doubling season kind of stuff, hardened scales. But the fact that you have a commander that lets you play lands from the top of your library, that might be the thing that's actually special about it. So it's like Oran Reef, or what? No, what is it? The green creature that lets you play lands off the top of your library. Um, well, there's a couple of them,
Yeah.
but let's see. So you can do like hyper landfall. You can fill your deck with things where you play additional lands each turn. You can play them off the top of your library, and you can play like a 50 or 60 land deck even.
Definitely possible.
So, I mean, landfall decks have a lot of options, but this is a fairly unique one where you don't even need to have lands in your hand. You can have them on top of your library and play a lot of them out that way. And then you have some other kind of payoffs from mutants, ninjas, and turtles. The commander has Ward 2, which is kind of good. So it seems to me like it has potential as a commander. I want to put it like kind of down maybe here.
Yeah, I don't think there are any combos with that, and it doesn't work as good with the normal landfall payoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
I think that you would then want to fill your deck with landfall payoffs and stuff like that. And the fact that your commander allows you to play off the top of your library, I think, is just pretty great because it's one of the things that you run into with landfall decks sometimes is just you aren't drawing enough cards to continue to play lands, but this gets around that problem for the most part. And then otherwise, like a 4 mana 3/3 with Ward 2 is pretty solid. It'll be easy to recast it if it's killed, hard to kill it. Also, I think that if you are playing a mutant, ninja, or turtle deck, it's worth considering in the 99. But like I'm building a mutant deck that's blue and green, and he's 100% going in the 99. But your average ninja deck probably doesn't include green. Your average turtle deck, I don't know what looks like. Maybe this is the commander of a turtle deck. And then mutant deck. I don't know if it's the best commander. There are certainly a lot of options for mutant
Yeah.
commanders in this set. So moving on, we have Mikey and Leo, Chaos and Order. They're two green-white hybrid for a 2/2, Mutant Ninja Turtle, of course. And whenever you put a counter on a creature you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So, as a commander,
It says whenever, which is awesome. The capped once a turn is
mm-hmm.
sad. That's it's still do your win con and get the payoff of drawing cards to play more win cons. That's great. You then kind of have to put counters on other people's turns to get more value out of it.
Yeah, that would seem to be the trick. You'd want to
And
find instant speed ways of doing it.
there's, I mean, not most of the ways to put counters on stuff don't happen on other people's turns easily. There's probably still many ways out there,
This is one way that I
but
play in my mutant deck right now. Agatha's Soul Cauldron says a bunch of stuff, but in my deck I only really care about the last part where you can tap and exile a card from a graveyard, and if a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So I can just instant speed, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature I control, as long as there's a creature card in a graveyard I can exile.
yeah,
So that's
once
one way for just two colorless mana, doing it at instant speed repeatedly. There are
one,
also a lot of instants for like a couple of mana in green and white that put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Might not normally be worth playing, but if you also draw a card, so it becomes a cantrip, that becomes a lot more playable. But still, that's not a lot going on for your commander, you know? Let's see, instant and +1/+1 counter, and I'm gonna make sure that's in quotes. If you do a search like that, you probably want to put that in quotes because +1/+1 and counter are printed separately quite a bit. Oh yeah, and we can arrange it by EDH rank. Oh yeah, Inspiring Call would be amazing in the deck overall. Snakeskin Veil will be really good if it also says draw a card. The addendum version of this is the only one that works, but that's still okay. Gift of the Viper is awesome. Gaia's Gift is awesome. So there's actually quite a bit of potential here, I'd say. Origin of Metal Bending's quite good. So, but all your commander does is draw a card, and it's a 2/2, in green white. I it's not terribly interesting to me.
yeah, no, at most it's going to get you 4 cards a turn, and you had to put a huge chunk of your deck towards doing that. You still get 4+1/+1 counters ish a turn, maybe more. But you still have to have the bodies. You still have to have the way to get them through with evasion or trample,
Yeah.
and then at most you're a fairly, medium big combat deck, and there's a lot of those, and it's probably going to be on the lower tuned side of that.
You know what I think this is? I think this is better than the 99. I think if you're playing a green white +1/+1 counter deck, then this is a pretty good card, a pretty good piece because it is card draw, and green white isn't that great at card draw, especially if you're
Yeah.
doing +1/+1 counters and stuff like that. Heck, it triggers off of non +1/+1 counters, other kinds of counters. But I don't think it's terribly exciting as a commander. It doesn't lead you to any kind of win condition. It doesn't have any defensive ability of its own. You know,
Yeah, just make sure if you're putting that in a +1/+1 counters deck that you're not lying to yourself about how many cards you'll draw each turn. not
Yeah.
assuming it's 4 when it's actually going to be 1.5.
Yeah. So it could be a commander, although I'd put it either at the bottom of high potential or at the top of questionable, maybe as a commander. But I'm imagining that there are some +1/+1 counter decks out there that struggle with card draw, and this is a really good piece to add into there. The exception might be the Bant ones like Titus, where since you're playing blue, you've got card draw probably solved. But if you're not playing blue, then this is a pretty good piece in the 99. Then we go on to Mona Lisa Science Geek, who is 2 and a green for a legendary creature Lizard Mutant. She's a 1/3 with Reach, and you can tap to add X mana of any one color where X is Mona Lisa's power. What do you think?
So it's a more fair version of one of the more broken mana dork commanders.
Are you thinking of Marwyn?
It's the green one that also lets you draw cards.
Okay, that is not quite how you spell it. Oh, you're not
Yep.
thinking of Marwyn. Okay, I was thinking of Marwyn. Because this is whenever an elf enters, she grows, and then tap for green equal to her power. In that way, you tap for mana equal to her power. 3 mana, 1/1, 1/3. Marwyn is a decent commander, I think, considering how much mana she can make, and a really good piece in the 99 of elf deck.
Many decks
But
love
you
that.
must be thinking of, gosh, what is her name?
Takes needs a green to tap her, but
Yeah.
can make it in any combination of
Gosh, I
colors.
know who you're talking about. She's, I think, 3 mana for the version of her that we're
Yeah.
thinking of. She might be an elf, and I
Yep.
think she's from the Conspiracy set.
That I don't know. I have her in a bunch of decks.
Okay.
Can look it up.
Yeah, legendary. And I know that there's a green-white version of her as well. Um, gosh, okay, we need to find this. So,
It's loading.
okay,
There it
Selvala.
is. Yep.
Okay, we both got there about the same time. It looks like. Yeah, Selvala, Heart of the Wild. So, this is another one where you can make mana equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So she doesn't need to be the big creature in order to make it, but you do have to put a green in. But you're usually getting way more than 1 green out.
Oh yeah.
In fact, even with just her on the battlefield, you'll make 2 mana. But it can also be any combination of colors, which is great compared to Mona Lisa, making any one color.
Still
She's got
good.
reach.
Still good in a multicolored deck that's probably going in Sisei because it can
Ah,
make. Well, granted, maybe not because there's 2 mana legendary make any
yeah.
one color.
And if you're talking, that's not how you spell it. That's how you spell it. If you're talking about Sisei, there is this whole thing where you would like to be able to make Wooburg.
Yep.
And Mona Lisa won't help you much with that
Helps
compared
once, and then
to
she's legendary, so it buffs
compared to
commander once.
Selvala.
Yeah, well, Savala is the best mana dork in the deck
Okay.
in Sisei, and she's very much a fixed version of Savala. Nowhere near as powerful.
And to be fair, also, Mona Lisa's an uncommon, so she's not supposed to be like crazy good, but having
Yep.
reach is nice. I assume that being a lizard, she's like good at climbing or something to get up high in trees and on buildings and stuff. But this doesn't seem like really a commander potential at all. She's outclassed by a couple of other creatures out there. There isn't a ton of mutant synergy right now. There is starting to be, but not a ton
Yeah.
compared to Elf.
Yeah.
And there's basically no lizard synergies. So she
She's
doesn't
a
seem worth playing as a commander.
If
But
you wanted a lower power version of the other established mana dork commander
yeah,
decks.
but I'm seeing her as better in the 99, maybe around like here.
Yep.
'Cause,
Anything with green.
Because then you
that's-
can play like 3 or 4 cards that do something like this, and she's just one of them. And sometimes these are combo pieces. In fact, now that I think about it, she can go infinite with, I think it's Umbra Mantle.
Yeah, any of the infinite untap stuff.
Yeah, 3 and untap this creature, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So if you've got like a 4/4 on the battlefield, no,
Well, it's her
if she
power.
is a 4/4. Okay,
but
so you can
that still lets
activate it
her.
once and she becomes a 3/3, and then she makes infinite mana and infinite power and toughness.
Yep.
So, and I'm saying that's not good enough. Because you could, of course, play Marwyn or Selvala, and both of them do that, but even better.
Yeah. The
Because one can do elves and the other one can mix up the colors, or starts off as a 2/3. It can draw cards. Yeah. So, Mona Lisa, but I think it's still a pretty good card. It's just not best in class.
Yeah, but if you're in a mutant deck already and
Oh,
had
yeah.
mana dorks in there, then yeah,
Hey,
might
if
as well
you've
have one
got
more.
mutant synergies, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you want a mana dork that scales with power and you already have the other seven in, then this is one more.
Yeah. Then we've got Mondo Gecko. For 1 and double blue, he's another legendary creature lizard mutant. This one is a 2/3. And for 1 mana and discard a card, until end of turn, Mondo Gecko becomes the color of your choice and gains hexproof from that color. Because camouflage, you see. Even though he's a gecko, he's also apparently a chameleon. I think someone may have gotten mixed up on their lizards.
Definitely, definitely possible.
And I don't think it was the people at Wizards. I think it was the people making TMNT, because I do remember that he can kind of camouflage himself, and yet he tends to wear very bright clothing, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Also, whenever Mondo Gecko deals combat damage to a player, draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Interesting. What do
That
you
will
think?
the last paragraph's going to be a little hard to activate if he's your commander. There's ways to give your stuff extra colors, and some stuff
Yeah.
just comes with a color, but that's a lot of hoops to jump through. And you still have to give him evasion and have him swing, and then you're drawing at most 5 colors of cards. That there's if you want just to draw cards with your mono blue commander, there's many other ways to do that.
Yeah, so
But
cards like this, Transguild Courier, if I recall correctly, this is a characteristic defining ability. And characteristic defining abilities, they are basically static abilities that include the word is, and they apply in all zones at all times, meaning that this is actually a like red and black and white card and cannot be played in your deck. So that's awkward. That even though it costs 4 generic, it's not a mono blue playable card. So your deck likely would include blue creatures, and then you can make him like red until end of turn, and then you can draw 2 cards. That's
you
not that good.
you could dump 4 cards from your hand and pay 4 mana to draw 5 cards
It doesn't say
from
in addition to his
two.
other
Okay,
colors.
he just
So that
switches.
means that every time that you activate that ability, he loses the other colors and gains
Okay, then
1.
you could clone your commander to pay extra mana. Uh,
Oof.
which just yeah, it's a lot of work for a payoff you can get better and easier elsewhere.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like color changing cards in blue that don't really have a home, and I think they still don't.
I've seen a couple good combo decks with those, so you can break the game with them. This isn't the best way to break the game with it,
No,
but
like Crystal Spray, where you can
yeah,
change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of one color word with another one, or basic land type with another one until end of turn, draw a card. That's all well and good, but it actually just changes the text. So Mondo Gecko doesn't have any color words written on him, so it doesn't help you on Mondo Gecko himself. Honestly, okay, but okay, and the payoff if you do all this is you draw 2 or 3 cards when he hits a player, which is not a foregone conclusion. If this gave him protection from a color, meaning that he couldn't be blocked by that color, then we'd be talking. But they seem to not want to print protection very often these days because it's kind of complicated.
yeah.
People don't remember what protection does exactly. and it's not necessarily the most grokkable thing.
Yeah.
Protection works
The
against some things you wouldn't expect and doesn't work against some other things you wouldn't expect.
He might actually be better just as a discard deck. If you just
Yeah,
want to pay 1 mana and dump every single card from your hand into the graveyard for some reason.
1 mana each.
Yep.
I mean, okay. I also think about not type line. I also think about madness. What madness cards can you play in blue that are worth it? Like circular logic is something that comes to mind. Yeah, you can play circular logic. Counter a spell unless the controller pays one for each card in their graveyard. Madness of a blue. You
For
can play a
two.
few other like draft commons and stuff.
Yeah, although, I mean, really, if the whole thing is spend a mana to draw a different card, you could have just not put that first card in your deck and
Like
get it
obsessive
cheap.
search.
Same thing there. It's you're spending 2 mana to counter a spell, and you could just use counter spell.
Although this would be a colorless and a blue, and your commander would change its color and gain hexproof from that color until end of turn. Yeah. There's also Mayhem, which I hope that they bring back Mayhem on more cards because it's just a kind of fixed version of Madness, but they've only done it in the Spider-Man set so far, so it's pretty slim pickings.
That one's a
So
clone, which would give you an
okay,
extra color.
Mondo Gecko to me, I want to put him like here, like the bottom of questionable.
Yeah, no, they're
Because he's got a couple of tricks up his sleeve, but seems kind of bad.
yeah. There might
So,
be ways to break them, and might be ways to do it reliably. I'm not seeing them.
and you know what? Someday there probably is going to be more tools in
Sure.
the color changing deck where maybe it'll make him cool, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mutagen Man, Living Ooze, is X green green for a legendary creature Ooze Mutant. And they're a 2/3 with trample. And activated abilities of artifact tokens you control cost one less to activate. And when he enters, create X mutagen tokens. So to be clear, you can cast him for as little as green green to get a 2/3 trampler that discounts all your artifact token abilities that you only have to pay into X if you want some mutagen tokens out of them. And then those mutagen tokens suddenly don't cost mana to activate.
Yep. No, he basically is the standard X Hydra, which you can just make him bigger later if you want,
Oh.
and or give those to anyone else, which is better. That's still not great as a commander. It's mono green Voltron, and there's better ways to do that, and that's still not the best thing to do. That said, he can still break the game. So if you want a combo deck with him,
Yeah.
then I am sure there are ways to pay 0 for artifact tokens and make a loop that wins you the game. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but there's, yeah, definitely some of them.
Okay.
And
Because you would
the
apply a discount to foods and clues, and I think blood costs one.
if you copy
Maybe
mana
junk.
rocks or any of the clone or copy stuff would also do that. So
Yeah, if
find some
you
weird
can.
artifact, copy it. It's now a token, and then
Hard to do
pay
in
less
mono
to
green,
activate.
though.
A little harder for that. So he's more likely to be a combo piece in another deck than one on his own. But having half of the combo and or third,
Also, doubling season is interesting with this guy, considering he'd make twice as many mutagen tokens, and then the mutagen tokens would turn into twice as many counters. So, personally, I don't play doubling season in a deck unless I am both making creature tokens and putting counters on things. Because otherwise, 5 mana is kind of a lot. And
especially with the monetary value of the card. I then
oh yeah,
also need to consider, can I do all of that the same turn I play Doubling Season? Because that's a very famous card that people will remove as soon as they can. And if you take off a turn to play it and don't get any value from it yet, then you actively hurt yourself.
Honestly, I think that if you're playing mono green, unless you can come up with some kind of like infinite combo with this guy, I think he's better in the 99. Because he does have a pretty good effect, but you just want to be in a deck that is more colors so that you
Yeah.
can more easily make clues, because those would be great. Or, just he seems like a good piece and not the leader. Because honestly, giving a discount on the activation cost is really quite good.
Yeah.
But
Still, I mean, if you're a new player and want a Voltron deck, it's still not a bad Voltron deck. I guess the problem there is, well, it could make a middle of the road, or I mean B plus Voltron deck if anyone who's played against it has played against the combo version. They're going to treat your deck very differently. So
yeah.
remember and tell people about that early, of the no combos in here. I
Hmm.
don't do any of that shenanigans. Or, okay, yes, I do.
And actually thinking about it more, it is a pretty good like legendary Hydra. Basically, it's got trample built into it, and you're right that if you do pay a bunch into X, you get a bunch of these mutagen tokens that now activate for free. So it is effectively entering with X counters, but as two separate steps, so it's optional, and
Yep.
you can split them up. So
And I mean, you could
you
play
actually
him
do have
and
quite a bit of
then.
versatility, but I still think I still think that he's that you can probably do better as a commander just by going two colors.
Oh, yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of Voltron options,
Hmm.
and monocolor Voltron is, yeah, super
Okay.
limited.
All right. Then we've got Old Hob Alley Cat Blues, which, as a fan of the TMNT Turtles in Time video game, I'm fond of the fact that they fit almost all of the level names onto cards somewhere. Like Big Apple 3 a.m. is, I think, the first level, and that's a land. And Alley Cat Blues, I think, is the second level. So I'm glad that they got it in here. Although there are a couple that they didn't include on a card, like Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee. Doesn't really make sense as a magic card. Anyway, Old Hob Alley Cat Blues is 4 and a red for a legendary creature Cat Mutant Rebel. He's a 4/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/2 red mutant creature token. It gains haste until end of turn. Destroy it at the beginning of the next end step. And for a 1 and a white, target attacking creature token gains indestructible until end of turn. Okay. Since it's
Yeah.
not sacrifice, it's destroy, he can save your creature. And this makes him a red-white commander.
Yep. So having to pay two for it every turn's a little sad. That's kind of expensive for a 2/2 token, but yeah, does let you keep it. Makes him still not pass the vanilla test if you pay the two. If you don't, I guess it passes vanilla.
Okay, yeah, that he is a 5 mana 4/4 that makes you an extra body. Well, you know what? It makes you an extra body with haste every turn,
Yeah,
so it
so
is
it's two
kind of
two.
like being 6 power and toughness for 5 mana.
But if you pay the 2 mana so that the token sticks around, then you're not paying five anymore. You're paying
Right, but then you're
7, and
accumulating
yeah,
more power and
true.
toughness. I'd
So
say
okay,
that
yeah, I
you're
guess it is
effectively.
vanilla every time then.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely there is a deck there. It's not fully on rails. You can get a little creative with it. It's probably not going to be a combo one, but we'll do um, red white combat. Which I mean, I suppose there has been a red white combat deck or two before. Um,
Honestly, I think one of the more interesting things about this is that you can build a red white like creatures entering deck. Considering there's now like 8 different versions of this effect, and they're mostly pretty efficient. So you've got a whole lot of redundancy on this effect. And then this allows you to play red and white and gets you a free 2/2 every turn. Um, that said, 5 mana is a lot to get started. The ability is not very good.
Oh, it is a combat trick. You don't have to use it. And if you have multiple of them, I mean, you can choose to use it later after blockers have been declared,
Mm-hmm.
after you've decided if you want to do combat tricks to pump something. So you can surprise your opponents and win a trade that you otherwise wouldn't have won. And the fact that you can do that will mean people will not block it a lot of the time, even if they would otherwise. Of the, oh, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
disappear at end of turn, or they're going to make it indestructible, so blocking it won't do anything anyways. So I'm just going to not block.
Well, I think he compares kind of unfavorably to some of the cards like Zergo that we've gotten recently, where this costs a couple mana less, adds the color black as well, is passes the vanilla test all by itself plus the mobilize to make a 1/1, and then turns into card draw or loss of life, something like that. Or was this the other one? Where you mobilize two and then you don't have to sacrifice the tokens. So I was thinking at first, oh, you could put the Perforos, the Impact Tremors, all that stuff. But honestly, I think both of those Zergos are better at that exact thing. Especially Mobilize 2, where you're making two tapped creatures. So I guess
Yeah.
if you wanted to build the old Hob deck that I imagined is basically just a worse version of Zergo Thunder's Decree.
But if you wanted to make it bracket 2, then
Yeah. I mean, it's an uncommon also, so once again, it's not really intended to be the best thing out there. But, I mean, I kind of want to put him like here, near the bottom of questionable.
sure.
Um, I don't think he's quite lame, but he doesn't outclass the rare um, con leader from the latest set, while being an uncommon kind of throwaway character. That in a normal set, this wouldn't have been legendary, I think. But because also that ability, you can only target an attacking creature token, so only during combat, and it has to be a creature token. Pretty restrictive.
Yep.
Then we have Orokusaki Shredder Rising. So this is like young Shredder or something. But he's also a common, so I don't expect much. Two and a black for a legendary creature human ninja. He's a 3/1 with sneak 2 for 1 and a black. And whenever Orokusaki deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose a life. Um, I mean, this seems like a pretty bad commander.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess there's not a ton of black commanders that draw you a card each turn, but yeah, that's still.
I mean, this one also doesn't do that, as it comes out once to hit somebody and gain and draw you a card, and then you're gonna have a hard time hitting with it the second time.
People could choose to not block, but
The
yes, and
3/1.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, some sort of evasion. You have fear or whatever on it. It's
yeah,
doable.
you can
It
play.
requires effort,
Hmm.
and you're also still going to be draining your life the whole time, which
Yeah.
is not going to help things.
So really, it comes down to, is this better in the 99? And okay, a ninja. Would I play this in an existing ninja deck? And it's real questionable, I think. Um,
If you have reliable ways to give it evasion every turn, which some of the new ninja commanders, he would have death touch for one of them,
hmm.
and in that case, then
You know, you're
good chance they're
right.
not blocking him.
I think the only deck where I might play it is Dark Leo and Shredder, where you're playing black white. Because if you're playing blue, then you don't need card draw this bad. And every ninja commander already is either mono black, includes blue, or is Dark Leo and Shredder. So if he's only better in the 99, if he's only playable in one deck and he's not a very good commander, I think that puts him in lame, but maybe towards the top of lame.
Sure.
Yeah, like maybe around here. Okay. But I mean, he's a common legendary creature. That's about what you expect.
Yep.
Pizza Face Gastromancer is one of the more gross cards in the set. Um, Weird, ugly looking guy. Um,
They
but
wait for a certain emotion, and they will force that emotion upon you whether you like it or not.
okay, so I mean, if you like Garbage Pail Kids, boy, is this guy up your alley. And if not, hopefully you don't have to play against anyone who does like him. But three black and a green for a legendary artifact creature, Food Mutant. So he is food. Okay,
Right.
and he's a 2/4. When Pizza Face enters, create a food token. Disappear at the beginning of your end step. If a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn, put 3+1/+1 counters on up to one other target artifact or creature. If it isn't a creature, it becomes a 0/0 mutant creature in addition to its other types. And for 10, tap and sacrifice Pizza Face, you gain 15 life. What the hell?
So the last one's a horrible rate. If
Yeah.
you have, if you're spending 10 mana on a thing, it should probably win you the game, or
Yeah.
at the very least, give someone a bad day, and that's
And
saving you one late game combat.
do you want to keep 10 mana open at any time? Not really. If you got 10 mana, you should be doing like I don't know, Rise of the Dark Realms or something. You
Yep,
know,
a lot of better things you could do.
Biorhythm. I don't know.
I don't have any food decks, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you have a food deck, maybe he goes in that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he could helm a food deck. Don't know. The Can you just use the normal food text on him
Uh,
because he's a
so
food?
no. A food token has the ability.
Okay, but him being that
This
type
him being that type.
doesn't give him that ability.
No, they gave him that last ability instead. So any card that is a food but isn't a token, they have as a design philosophy included a life gain ability, but it does not inherit that like being a mountain inherits
Yeah.
the ability to tap for red. So when he enters, you'll make the food token, and then if you had a permanent leave the battlefield during your turn, then you can put 3 counters on an artifact or a creature, and you can make an artifact into a creature. It's a mutant.
So yeah, so he doesn't break foods himself. Then
No.
he does let you do artifact shenanigans. Anytime you change the type of one thing to another, you
Mm-hmm.
can gain value that wasn't otherwise expected or planned for.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fair amount of ways to turn an artifact into an artifact creature. This isn't the best one, but if you
Mm-hmm.
wanted one more or in different colors, or that in the command zone, sure.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'd put it low and questionable though, because I'm not
I agree. I think
there. It has words that could potentially be broken. I'm not seeing them, and doesn't look like a great payoff, and not one I'm
maybe
interested in.
maybe around
But
here,
maybe
because
someone
I
else will.
mean, that ability gives a little extra value immediately, but not that much. This ability only triggers once during your end step, per go around, and even then, only if you also had a permanent leave the battlefield. And then this ability just flat sucks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it's the middle ability that might somehow break the game. It will still
mm-hmm,
require, it'll be one of three combo pieces, and don't know
mm-hmm.
what the other ones are.
Honestly, I'm putting them even lower.
Yeah.
Or there. Okay. So next on our list is Raphael Most Attitude. For 3 in a red, he's a legendary creature mutant ninja turtle with menace and alliance. I like to see alliance coming back here. He's a 4/3, and whenever another creature you control enters, you may exile the top card of your library. Whenever Raphael attacks, until end of turn, you may play a card exiled with Raphael. Interesting.
So, card draw on your mono red commander.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a ton of that. It's not the best card draw in the world. It's going to be at the most once a turn,
Mm-hmm.
but more selection, which is useful.
Mm-hmm.
It, I mean, could let you see your whole library in that um, red blink deck that I've
Uh-huh.
never seen, but
Yeah.
more cards to go in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, the not super interested.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, Menace, and when he attacks, tells me that you want to go tall, but Alliance tells me you want to go wide.
yeah,
Because ideally he'd have something like First Strike, or you'd be able to make him grow bigger or something like that. Put some equipment on him, stuff like that, so that he's going to continue to be safe to attack. So you keep doing his thing. But Alliance, you know, um, you want to have more creatures to drop. So you could be doing the whole Perforos Impact Tremors thing, but we already determined that even in this set, even at Uncommon, there's I'd say that Hob is probably better
yeah.
at this. You put this in a Hob deck, but also you put both of them. Oh, there's a raccoon outside. Interesting.
That's
But I think you put both of these in a Zergo deck. Honestly, I think that Raphael is better in the 99. But you know what? I think he's not bad actually. If you're doing a go wide red deck, I think he's decent. Like maybe around here. Whoa. The cats are also bickering. So we got a little bit of background stuff going on here.
life.
Yep. So yeah, I put him in better in the 99, around the middle though,
Yeah,
because I mean a 4-mana 4/3 menace with a couple of bonus things, and actually exiling the top card of your library and then playing it, I think is not that bad actually. I usually
yeah.
kind of underrate that power,
I mean,
but
there are some.
because it triggers every time that he attacks, you can play that until end of turn, so you have like a little window there. He can build up a library of cards to allow you to cast, so not bad, honestly. But then we go on to Raphael Ninja Destroyer, the mythic rare Raphael. For 2 and 2 red, legendary creature, Mutant Ninja Turtle, of course. He's a 4 mana 4/4, and he must be blocked if able, and he has Enrage. Whenever Raphael is dealt damage, add that much red. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end.
So you're gonna want like 20 or 30 indestructible sources to
Oh,
give to him. That way you don't
yeah,
have to
and
replay him.
that's tough in mono
And
red. That's tough.
yeah, I mean, doable though. There's a fair amount of artifacts that can do it.
Um,
Um,
I mean more than zero, but I can think of
yeah,
like three. Um, but I'm curious now. Indestructible, and in red, and once again EDH rec rank. Okay. Let's see what we got. No, yes. So Mithracoat is
70.
probably the best.
Yeah.
I mean,
70 total ones. It's not gonna be all of that,
yeah,
but yeah,
Perforos doesn't count.
yeah,
Brass Taunter doesn't count. Hammer of Nizan does. Plaza of Heroes, I think, can in a pinch, but is not very
yeah.
good at that. Um, let's see. Darksteel Plate is the classic. Tyrite Sanctum's probably not worth it. So there are a few ways. Alternatively, if it's got Enrage, you could be playing Burn, and burn yourself all the time. Um, in fact, a good old Lightning Bolt costs 1 red and then will turn into 3 red. In fact, Lightning Bolt just became Dark Ritual
Hmm?
if you are willing to burn your own commander.
Now, with how the stack works, if you
Yeah.
are doing aim two lightning bolts at him,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna die from the first one that resolves and won't be there for the other ones to hit.
Well, he's a 4/4,
It's
so he
there,
doesn't die from the
but
first
you
one.
can. Oh, the bigger spell. Two
Okay.
things that would do 5 damage to him. He's not gonna be there for the second one, so you can still
Um,
overkill him with your last spell.
Right.
But
So let's see. Mizium, is that one of them I'm thinking of? Mizium mortars? Oh no, it says a creature you don't control. So you do want things that can blast your own creatures. What am I thinking of? Is it like Fire Blast that can do that? Yeah, 4 damage to any target. You can sacrifice 2 mountains rather than pay its mana cost instant. This does see some play, considering you can cast it for free at instant speed, and 4 damage to any target's pretty versatile. 6 is kind of crazy, but okay. So say you did like 2 Fire Blast equivalents at
yeah,
Raphael. The first one kills him, adds 4 red, and then the second one is countered due to the rules of the game due to not having a target anymore. Because he needs to actually be dealt the damage in order for it to work. But you can do 2 lightning bolts, where the
yeah.
first one puts 3 damage on him, you get 3 red. The next one deals 3 damage to him, and you would get 3 red again, even though only 1 damage is needed to kill him.
So yeah, that's useful, and that, I mean, that gives you 2 extra red to pay for commander tax.
Yeah. Oh, and of
And
course, if he does have something like Mithril Coat on him,
then
you
yeah, go
can
to town.
have the damage dealt to him exceed his toughness. And I believe that Mithril Coat and the like go infinite with Raphael and Pyrohemia, because Pyrohemia deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. So every time that you do that, you get a red back, and you can
That
just keep doing that as much as you want, and he won't die.
that one kills you too.
It deals that much damage to each creature and each player, so you better have more life than your opponent.
Which
Is
so
tough in
okay,
a mono
so
red deck.
yeah, especially if that's a known combo with the commander, and people go, "Oh, you're playing that? Okay, you can't stay at 40 life now."
So
Turn
I'm
two, I'm
imagining
gonna
also
swing at
that
you.
someone could go like, okay, here's how you do it. You attack someone with Raphael, you Pyrohemia enough to kill every blocker, then you hit them for 4. And then you just threaten to do more Pyrohemias anytime. And you're just constantly wiping the board and racking up like 4 damage until you're ahead on board, and then you finish it.
Yeah,
So
although
even
it's
without other pieces, you can probably win with just those 3 cards. But if you also have a lot of burn in your deck, like lightning bolts, hopefully you can, bolt people a bit before Raphael comes down and finishes them off. Um, Honestly, I think this is kind of good.
yeah, it has potential, and there
Yeah.
there could be a bracket 4 version of that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what's that Minotaur that makes red mana? Do you remember
Yeah,
the Minotaur?
don't know the name, but
He's
yeah,
got 3 printings, and one of them has afflict. I think. Let me see. Maybe if I search for afflict, Neheb the Eternal. I think this is what you're competing with. At the beginning of each of your post combat main phases, add red for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn, and afflict 3. So if they take the 4 damage, you get 4 red. If they lose the 3 life, you get 3 red. And if you had other ways of hurting them, which you do, then you can gain a lot more red. So this is not as easily breakable, though, as this. The only way that Neheb the Eternal is really breakable is if you're doing, say, that extra combats
yeah,
enchantment, um, aggravated
assault.
ass, alt. Untap all creatures you control after this phase. There's an additional combat phase. But let's see. So, Aggravated Assault can go infinite with Neheb pretty easily because the amount of life that your opponents have lost only goes up. Once you've
Yeah,
got like 5-ish mana, then you can kind of take infinite combats. But with Raphael, that isn't the case because he needs to take damage
yeah,
again in order to make more red mana. So you might be able to keep going and going with Aggravated Assault, but you might not.
yeah. Yeah, if your opponent has something that's indestructible, then you could get infinite combats that
Mm-hmm.
way. At the very least, though,
Mm-hmm.
it's still three combats.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and if they've got like five saprolings or something, then they can block you with one saproling. You get one red. I was thinking at first that you could, since it must be blocked, that you could get in combat after combat potentially and keep getting blocked. But no, they'd have to deal like 5 damage to Raphael in order to get you a full extra combat. So I don't think that that's really the
That's
way. It's not aggravated assault.
yeah.
So if you have to choose between the two of them, I think Neheb is the more reliable, considering that it counts any way that your opponents have lost life, and Red has a lot of ways of doing that. Whereas
But
Raphael needs to take damage.
distinctly different flavor and a new flavor, and that's valuable.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you
Mm-hmm.
liked the other deck but don't have one,
Mm-hmm.
this is an alternative you might like better.
Yeah, and it turns some burn spells into rituals, but unless you get indestructible, you can't overdo it. So, it's interesting enough that, I mean, I don't think that I'm quite up to excited to try, but I think that he could go like maybe around, I don't know, like here. I think he's got pretty high potential. He might even deserve to be higher than
Yeah.
this. Um, so yeah, interesting. Maybe there's some stuff out there that we haven't thought of. There probably is actually.
Yep.
Then we go on to Raphael the Night Watcher, who has a motorcycle. Once again, 4 mana, including 2 and 2 red. This time for only a 2/3. But he's got Sneak for 1 and double red. Attacking creatures you control have double strike. Now that is kind of crazy.
So yeah, that definitely there's a lot of combat decks that were looking for more double strike and
Mm-hmm.
for giving just your Voltron commander double strike. 4 mana's not the cheapest out there, but there's still more expensive equipment once you pay to actually equip it. Um, but if you want everything to have double strike, this is one of the great ones.
Yeah, in fact, what other options do we have? I mean, Berserker's Onslaught was a pretty stapley kind of card for a while. Echidna, Knuckles the Echidna. Well, he has double strike, but he doesn't give your creatures double strike. Is there a commander? Okay, it looks like he's really the only viable commander that gives your creatures double strike. Not to mention that he can go in some other decks in the 99 where you aren't restricted to just playing red, but honestly, red is probably the best color to have this. Either that or like green
Green,
would like it as well. So you could put him in a red green deck. But even in mono red, I think you got some options here. Having the sneak is actually potentially good. There aren't a lot of evasive small red creatures, but there are some. Actually, I wonder, like, if we're looking at, say, flying creature in red, and we're not looking for dragons. We want to look at, like, mana value, and we're going to start from the lowest. Okay, Ornithopter. Oh,
works.
Ornithopter, you're such a good sneak enabler.
Yeah,
Honestly, that would be sick. But okay.
doesn't take
Also,
advantage of that the double strike, but
also, sneak works really well with the way that this is worded because attacking creatures are like it doesn't have to be around at the time that they attack. It. In fact, he enters tapped and attacking, so he will have double strike even when you sneak him in.
yeah. Although
Mm-hmm.
if you had other stuff go
Mm-hmm.
and they attack, you can't
Ooh.
get first strike until after he's in there. But there's a
So.
period where they're unblocked, haven't done any damage yet,
Mm-hmm.
and then get him in there to get the first strike enabled.
Honestly, if this guy isn't your commander, it seems like a nasty trick
Yeah.
And if he is your commander, it's still a scary thing to be able to do. Because you could attack with like 3/1/1s and maybe Ornithopter. And then the only time that you can do sneak is after blockers have been declared. So your opponent has to choose, like, okay, how am I going to block these things? And then after that, you can sneak this in instead of your Ornithopter. He will enter tapped and attacking as a 2/3 double striker. And your other creatures that are already being blocked do gain double strike in the middle, right before the first strike damage is going to be dealt. So they will get to do 2 strikes and double trigger for you. I think the potential here is quite high.
Yep. That can buff that turtle deck. And are there any red
Let's
ninja
see.
decks?
Not that I know of. But I'm thinking somewhere around like here, actually. I can't even imagine all the red creatures out there that are going to want to have double strike. I imagine a lot of them are going to be like dragons and stuff. Because those are going to have the strongest, like, when this
Yeah.
deals damage trigger. So, let's see. That said, I like this one. And I think I like where it's at. And let's see. Should we stop it here then?
I could do one more.
Okay, let's do one more. Raphael
Just a
Tough
row.
Turtle is the common, and so it's probably not going to be worth playing, but let's see. 1/3 Mutant Ninja Turtle Alliance. Whenever another creature you control enters, Raphael deals 1 damage to target opponent. To target opponent, really?
I mean, if you're going infinite, then it doesn't matter. But yeah, for fair value, it's not as good as Perforos, but also they probably shouldn't print a new Perforos.
Well, no, it's not. It's not new Perforos, but the Agate Instigator is kind of the gold standard in my opinion, where it's a 2 mana 1/3. Whenever another creature you control enters, this deals 1 damage to each opponent.
Yeah, being in the command zone is a worthwhile trade for that.
And it has Offspring, so you can
That's
make a
yeah.
clone of it. But there's another card that is just like this but better. There's one that even has literal alliance. I'm trying to think. Actually, I can't really think of it, but just gonna put alliance. You'll probably get. I'm not thinking him. I'm thinking that
That one,
one,
yeah.
the Witty Roast Master. I had in my mono red CEDH deck where I can make like infinite creature tokens, and I cut him. I got this guy, and he's a 3/2. So I mean, you're right though. If you do go just straight up infinite, then he would still defeat all of your opponents all at once. But if you're going just straight up infinite, it would be better to play like Perforos as your commander. Because then it's indestructible, and then you get double the damage, even if you aren't going infinite.
I mean, less mana, so you can cheat him out on the same turn as protection. Easier, or the other combo pieces easier. Dump them all at one turn, and they have to remove you right then, or they die. But yeah, pros and cons to Perforos, and that's not a bad spot for a new, more fair commander to be.
Honestly, if this did say each opponent, I would say that this is like decent. But since it just says to target opponent,
It's
I
much
tell you
more
what I
fair.
want to do. I want to do like the top of lame.
I
You
would
don't
say
think
it's
so?
lame. No, it's
Okay. Then maybe the middle of questionable, like around here or something.
sure. It's not as good in the 99. The other options are better for those, but it could
Mm-hmm.
make a more fair or fun deck than where it would be hard to find a good casual Perforos game. Where this
Okay.
has a little bit more potential for that.
All right.
And nice that you could have a bracket 2 version. It's yeah, not the most powerful one,
Mm-hmm.
but you still could make a bracket 4 version. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
it's not going to be the best bracket 4 deck that does that thing, but
mm-hmm.
can still have one.
Okay. Well, then I think that I am satisfied with it being in kind of the middle of questionable, even though personally I feel like he's kind of lame. But you're right, it is alliance damage to your opponent's commander that only costs 2 to get out. Um, but that means our tier list is spread out a bit. Can I even zooming out a little bit here? Okay. So right now we are seeing the most of these listed as high potential, which is kind of great that all of these are solid commanders. Although not that many of these are standing out to us in part because some of these that are pretty good overlap with existing decks of
Yeah,
ours
yeah.
even from ninjas to mutants to whatever else. So that said, we still have another handful left to go here, more than a handful. We'll probably be needing another like hour and a half or so to go through the rest of these, I'd say. But one more chunk in the bag, and we'll catch you for hopefully the final episode soon.
Sounds good.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye bye.